Hello, people in the darkness. I'm Eemeli. Sorry, did not really have time to make a proper presentation, so kind of live coding this one. I'm going to talk about a couple of scripted languages that you may never have heard of, but that are kind of cool. Primarily, it's message format that I'm talking about, which is a language for compiling basically human language text. So if you have a greeting or text like that. Good afternoon, Eemeli. There are 2 more talks left on this 3rd day of PolyConf. And you want to have your user interface present this in some way. How do you do that? Because there's so many things there that could go different ways, variables that you need to insert. And the answer is ICU message format. And it kind of looks like, sorry, there. So good, and then you have a variable too early, which we're handling as a select. So if it's true, we think it's morning. Otherwise, we're in the afternoon. Name coming in as a variable. Then we have a plural variable. Talks. How many talks? If there's just 0 talks, then no more talks. Just one more talk. Note that we're missing the S at the end there, which is part of the whole point of this exercise. And then if there's something else, the number more talks left on this day. And now it gets a bit tricky because, there are actually 2 different kinds of plurals in almost all languages. And the first one is cardinal type of plurals. These are ordinal plurals. And English in particular is really horrible about this one. So you have 1, 2, few different categories of plurals. And then you fill in those. And then day of, then you have a conference coming in. So yeah, additionally you can have some custom types as well. So that's nice. What do you do with it? And what's that 1, 2, and few? What are those about? Those are plural categories. Sorry, it's a bit smaller than I expected. But yeah. And those are different for all the different sorts of languages we have in this world. And those we can get from the Unicode Common Locale Data Repository, which now we get to the other scripting language you've never heard of, which is the Unicode Common Locale Data Markup Language, of which we're using the language plural rules. And those define English cardinal and ordinal plurals like that. And there, it does the same for about 200 languages at the moment. So practically all of the languages that you need to handle, you can get the data for how pluralization works in that language from the CLDR. But hopefully you don't actually need to know that directly. But it's still there, and it's nice. And they have their own script language, of course, for defining these plurals. So what do you do with this? And this is the point where a couple of talks ago, there was the mention that, you could have done all of that in JavaScript. You can do all of this in JavaScript. So you can take the locale data markup language data, and you feed that into a tool that I've developed, make plural, and you get out a function that takes in a number and whether it's an ordinal or cardinal plural. And then you can take that JavaScript function, then you can write that to disk. You have a plurals file, and then you have your messages that you write probably into a JSON file somewhere. Then you feed both of those into message format. It's a JavaScript implementation of the message format compiler. And that gives you a message function that you can feed parameters to get the actual end string in. And that you can then store to disk. And then that goes into Babel, Webpack, whatever you're using, because of course JavaScript. And that goes into some JavaScript file, and that goes into actually the browser where it gets executed. So we have JavaScript compiling something into JavaScript being eaten by another JavaScript that's then compiling again that into JavaScript that's then being interpreted by Webpack and Babel into other JavaScript that then goes to the browser that then actually runs the JavaScript. And this makes everything so simple. And than you can have in the browser experience. Just, you plug in a message and then you give it the proper sorts of parameters, and then you get your message. Really easy and, simple. Now, if we were to actually have if we were to, if I were to be live coding, you could go in Node and write something like that, and you'd get the whole output. Just hang on, sorry, it's a bit tedious to type. Yeah. And there you can see all of it just beautiful and simple. And all this wonderful code making, language so easy to handle, because normally it's not. It's horrible. Thank you.